Hello, this is the last part of the chapter regarding pragmatics. It deals with the last topics represented by speech acts and the lightness, the two significant theories in the study of pragmatics. Starting with the speech act theory, it is a theory originated in the Arabic tradition of linguistic studies under the heading of Nazariyat al-Insha' wal-Khabar, and then developed after the Dark Ages, developed by the English philosopher Jane Austen. John Austen. Jane Austen is the female playwright. The philosopher John Austen originated the theory of speech acts. Simply speaking, it deals with how to do things with words, how to do things, how to perform actions, how to describe things, how to do performatives by the use of language, which means we use the language to order people, we use the language to request things, to warn others, to describe things, and so on and so forth. So whatever we do by the power of language is called a speech act. So speech act can be either direct or indirect. Direct speech act or indirect speech act. Now the direct speech act is the act which is issued by the structures, the linguistic structures which convey the usual functions, For example, if we have a question, and the function of this question is to seek information or seek confirmation, okay, then here this is a direct speech act. For example, I am looking for Ahmed, and I ask you, where is Ahmed? Here it is a speech act of questioning, and it is a direct one. Why? Because I use the structure of an interrogative sentence, which is the question. However, if I am looking for Ahmed, and I ask, and I tell you Ahmed is here, so here it is not a direct speech act. Here, why? Because it is I'm not using the usual structure, which is a question. No, I've used the statement, which is Ahmed is here, with different tone. Okay? So using such a structure, which is not the usual structure, is called the indirect speech act. Now, if you look at these examples, did you eat pizza? Interrogative, and the function is question. So it is a direct. Now, eat pizza, please. Again, this is an order or imperative, and the function is command or request. You ate the pizza, declarative or statement with the function of the statement. However, if these structures and functions are used in a different way, as we just have mentioned, then they are called the indirect speech acts. So indirect speech acts are the acts which are issued when the structure is used for a function other than the usual one. Other than the usual one. As we have just mentioned, we use a question to tell something. We use a question to ask, or we use a statement to ask, or we use a command to tell, or we use a question to command, and so on and so forth. And this is what we are doing in our everyday language. We do not always say direct things, especially in our Arabic language. In the Arabic language, we are far away from being direct. We always use zigzag ways in order to command, to tell, to describe, to request, to warn, to threat, to do every act where language is involved. So this is called indirect speech act. Now, if I say this famous example, could you pass me the salt? This is a question. By structure, it is a question, but by the function, it is not a question. It is a request, okay? Or it is an order, okay, depending on the contextual factors which govern the pragmatic use of language. Okay, so the structure is a question, but the function is a request. Another example: do you know where I can find Mr. Salami? Okay. Now here again, the structure is a question, but the function is not a question, is seeking information. Okay. Now, if I say yes, I know, and that's it, I walk away, then I'm not doing the speech act. I've not understood the speech act. Why? Because it is all about the function. It is all about the locutionary force. The locutionary force of the speech act, which is the right effect of the speech act. That's why such an answer is going to be weird and strange. So this is how we can understand the direct or indirect speech act. Now, why indirect speech acts? Why keeping direct? Why keeping direct? This is very important. Now, the main reason is that some acts as request presented in an indirect way. For example, could you open that door for me? Are generally considered to be more gentle or more polite in our society than the direct speech acts. Open that door for me. As I just said, that we always use the indirect speech acts. Why? In order to be polite. It depends on the culture, and most of the cultures follow the indirect way because it is viewed as a polite way to, for example, request, to tell something which is bad, to tell bad news, to command people. These types of speech acts are inherently threatening one's face. Okay, threatening one's face. Making the listener uncomfortable, and that's why we tend to use the indirect speech acts in order to make them less threatening than they really are. And exactly why they are considered to be more polite is based on some complex social assumptions. As I said, depending on certain cultural and social norms and parameters that consider an utterance is more polite than other utterances. It all depends on the context. As I said, as I always say, depends on the context of the situation, and the context of the situation is rooted or deeply rooted in the culture where language is used or where language is involved. And then, since it all depends on the culture and the face or politeness, then we need to talk about politeness as the last topic in pragmatics. Of course, I must tell you that what we have been doing so far is just scratching the surface of this very huge topic. Pragmatics is a very, very divergent, is a very detailed topic. However, we're mentioning just the tip of the iceberg in terms of mentioning the theories and the controversies in these theories. However, it's all about the introducing this topic. So, the last one is politeness. Politeness is defined, simply speaking, as the awareness and consideration of another person's face. What is the face here? The face is the one's public self-image. How one can be viewed by others. How one can be viewed or seen or treated by others. Now, and politeness is the way or the awareness, and consideration of this face, of the one's public self-image. Now, in terms of politeness theory, you have two types of face, the positive face and the negative face. The positive face and the negative face. The positive face is the face that one makes in order to be accepted by others. Which is the accepted public self-image. This is the positive face. As for the negative face, it is the private self-image, where the speaker doesn't want anyone to trespass this face, or wouldn't accept any imposition on one's face. Well, if any imposition leveled on the negative face or on the speaker's negative face, then we will have face-threatening act, which is when saying something that represents a threat to the person's self-image, a threat to the person's self-image or to the person's face in general. Now, if, for example, somebody orders someone else, now this order will make naturally the face-threatening act. Why? Because that person, the listener, wouldn't accept to be ordered or to be given an order. So this is going to be a face-threatening act. So what to do here to make it less threatening? We go the indirect way. We use the indirect speech act. Instead of saying open the door, which makes face-threatening act, we would say, can you open the door, please? So this tone, this question, and this addition of please will lessen and minimize the threat that we are imposing on the listener. Now, this example, give me that paper. This is an order. You're behaving as if you have more social power than the other person. Now, here the social power is a very delicate and sensitive term in here. Why? Because it depends, again, back to the contextual factors, it depends on the social power. If you have some kind of social power on the on the listener, then you can order, you can direct or order or give commands to the listener. If you don't know, it will be a face-threatening act. Although sometimes, in for example, our Arabic culture, even if we have such a power, we would not use the direct speech act unless we have some kind of familiarity between the speaker and the listener. So face-saving act. So what to do, as I said, what to do to save the face. I should tell you this in Arabic. face-saving act. face هو الوجه يعني مثل ما نقول ماء الوجه. face-saving act حفظ ماء الوجه. و face-threatening act أيضا هو مثل ما نقول إسقاط صورة الشخص أمام الآن. So face-saving acts, in order to lessen the threat or the threatening acts, we have to we have to follow certain strategies to use to save the face or the speaker's face. So what to do? We have to go in indirect ways, and most probably we have to be polite. So instead of saying, "Give me the paper," in a direct way, we would say, "Could you pass that paper, please?" Okay, using question to request, and this question must be polite in order to show the face-saving act. Of course, positive and negative face are the two types of face. The positive face, as I said, which is the need to be socialized, connected, and belonging, or in a group, or member of a group, which deals with the solidarity among the group. For example, let's do this together. You and I have the same problem, and so on and so forth. It is a kind of solidarity. It's a kind of rapport between the speaker and the listener, or the listeners. While the negative phase is the need to be independent, free from imposition. I do not want anyone to impose me. I mean, here, in terms of talking, in terms of language, of using language, so I would not be accepted, I would not accept any kind of order. I would not accept any kind of imposing things on me, and so on. Instead of saying, "Let's do this together," I would say, "I'm sorry to bother you. Okay, so I know you're busy, but," and so on and so forth. Okay, well, this is important when you go or when you attack the negative, the one's negative face. It's important to deal with the positive and negative face in our daily life. That's all for the topic of pragmatics. We have been tackling this topic through 3 lectures, and this is the final, the last one. And as I said, we just have the tip of the iceberg, because this topic is a very, very, very broad and detailed. If you would like me to detail it, it's my pleasure. However, this is what I can do, or what I am allowed to do in your textbook. This one example of marking politeness as a different from one culture to another, and this one example, which is free juice tomorrow. Now imagine that this sign is put on a juice shop. So what to do? When will you go to take a free juice? Which tomorrow? Is it tomorrow, or the day after, or the day after? Okay, think of it. It's all about pragmatics. That's all for me. Thank you very much.